Hey there, Transformers fans. This is Trion. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hasbro's Transformers Titans Return Autobot Sovereign and Alpha Trion. The reason that's got two names there is that in the Titans Return series, pretty much everything's a headmaster. So Alpha Trion would be the, I guess, transdector body here, and Sovereign would be the headmaster itself. This is a Voyager class figure. It was just released in 2016, and the box is pretty much standard fare for this line, but it looks really good. They, I think, took some cues from the Japanese boxes over the past couple years, and it looks really great. We've got some really nice art here with a picture of Sovereign connecting down to the Alpha Trion body. Of course, you can see the figure inside, sword over here, extra gun over here, Transformers logo there. Generations up here in the corner. Very simple design on the side, but it looks very clean. On the back, you can see Alpha Trion in all three modes. It tells you a little bit about how the Headmaster system works, where the head can be pulled off and used with any other Headmaster character. So it's got an example of like Titan Master Brawn here. Chrome Dome, Astro Train, and Soundwave are also able to change heads, so that's pretty cool. On the bottom, we don't have any additional credits like sculptors or anything. I think most of these are digitally sculpted, so I'm not really sure how that works. And on this side, we just have one more shot of the art, and it looks really, really good. It's very slick. So yeah, this is, again, one of those ones that's going to look really good either in or out of package. But I'm an opener, so let's get him out and see what he's like. And here we have Alpha Trion out of packaging. This is a really impressive looking figure. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of Vector Prime from the Cybertron days in terms of sort of the design. He's got a lot more curved parts to him, where most bots are very blocky. He's got these nice Cybertronian, I'm assuming, markings on him. Not like script, but like design art, I guess you could say. He very much looks like a moving art piece, which I think is very, very cool. Yeah, I like this guy a lot. Not too kibbly really on the back. This is actually his gun. I've just got it plugged into the hole in his back. So not super kibbly. I mean, he's just got the cockpit off the back here, which there's not really a better way to hide it. That's just what it is. I mean, if they really wanted to do something, they could have split it down the middle and folded it out of the way, but I think that's a bit overkill considering the rest of him is pretty straightforward, especially for a triple changer. Now, in terms of articulation, we do have a lot going on. We have in the head, we've got a swivel, which only goes so far because you kind of have to turn the prongs. Because of the way this guy attaches to the head, you see this is a separate section here, and it's kind of ovular the way it's cut out. Well, somewhat ovular. It's kind of more like a rectangle with rounded edges. But you see how that's his range of motion, is whatever he can swivel there. So, kind of, in a way, similar to what they did with Fortress Maximus, where he connects, you know, via ball joint and everything, but it actually locks in, so that whole piece has to move. But in addition to that, where his headmaster plugs in, he does get a little bit of up and down movement. Now, if you remove Sovereign, the headmaster, these parts actually do lock down, and then if you plug the head back in, you get a lot more motion in terms of the ball joint there. And you can swivel left and right to your heart's content. And in some ways it really just looks a little bit more like classic Alpha Trion. He did have like more of a kind of samurai-ish cone helmet for sure, but I don't know so much about these prongs, which are activated by this red button in the middle of his chest. So still though, very, very cool action figure. If you can't tell what he turns into from some of his bits and pieces hanging off, then you might need some help. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about articulation. Like I said, ball joint swivel here. We have swivel in the shoulders there. The arm only goes out about that far, but it's really not bad. You know, for most of the poses you'll be putting him in, it's plenty. We get swivels in the just above the elbow. Elbow, because of transformation, does go very far forward, which is very nice. And then we've got swivels in the wrists. Almost feels like a little bit of a ball joint, but there's not enough movement for me to say for sure that it's a ball joint. It kind of feels a little bit more like a swivel. Nothing in the waist or chest. It's all kind of locked together because of the transformation gimmick. The hips are very, very, very tight on mine, like enough to concern me, but I do watch them whenever I move them on the bottom to make sure that that peg is actually twisting and that I'm not twisting the peg off. It's really that tight. It feels very tight to move, and it makes me very nervous. But the legs do have zero hindrance going back. Going forward, they do bump into his PP flap. You can kind of move the leg out of the way a little bit and move it forward more. You could probably get that a little bit further, but this one, because when you push it, the joint wants to bend, I'm not 100% sure if it wants to move anymore or if it's like twisting the joint off. It is extremely tight. That's the best way I can say it. You do have a little motion right here so that can get out of the way. Swivels just above the, or right underneath the hips. We get a hinge joint, which gets pretty close to 90 degrees, but not perfect. And then we have sort of a double hinged ankle down here. There's a hinge up in here and a hinge down in here, so you can kind of chicken head it forward and back. But there is no rocker or swivel or ball joint or anything down in there to kind of help with balancing, so you just kind of have to work it out on your own. And the hips going out to the sides are a bit loose on mine. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you know, if you start standing wide, he is going to fall down. So yeah, not terrible, but not bad. You saw that the gun can plug into the back here. That's pretty cool. Any place you see a 5mm port, you know, you've got a plug on your sword as well. You could plug that in back here if you wanted to, and have him, if I wasn't such a total doofus, you could have this plugged into his arm back here, whatever you'd like. Pretty cool, and he holds both weapons very well. The gun itself actually also works as a sort of a blaster ship type of thing for his headmaster, which was Sovereign. Comes right off, and Sovereign looks very good. He's got kind of a big groovy mustache I really like, sort of a magenta and dark purple, which are the colors all over this guy. And they did a really, really nice job. These are tiny details. In terms of his transformation, you just flip his legs down like so, straighten them out, and then you twist his head around. I typically twist the head around because it seems to fit in the socket for the headmaster combination a little better, but I don't think you have to do it. Very, very nice details on the figure itself. He's extremely tiny, but they did a really, really good job. I mean, like I said before, compared to like my thumbnail, these details just make him look very, very impressive. In terms of articulation, you can see he's got a little bit of a ball joint in the head. Very nice, which gives him his ball joint as well. You get ball joints in the shoulders, which only go out about that far and swivel up and down and can't go back because of the face, but that's not too bad. And then his legs hinge forward for sitting poses, and his knees bend down to sit in those kinds of seats, or upward like that. So then you just kind of push him back together, make sure his arms are back in place, and he's back to headmaster mode. I'm just going to flip his head around. Because like I said, there's kind of like the way that's cut out, it sort of seems like it's designed to fit one way. And as I showed before, you can push these prongs down and they will lock in place. You have to push them down kind of far, but you will hear them lock into place. And then you've got your nice Alpha Trion look, and then you press on the jewel in the center and that pops right up. Pretty cool. I like that. I really like the look of this guy. As I said, he sort of looks like Cybertronian art, which is really neat. I showed his gun off already, and it does have 3 barrels. His sword is very cool. I guess this is some kind of energon blade or something similar to what Optimus Prime has with the axe out of his arm, or Megatron with the ball and chain out of his. Very, very cool details. We do have the peg on the back, 5mm peg. Will fit into any of those holes. This is all painted back here. It's very glossy, but it looks really, really nice. Lots of really cool details, and he does hold that perfectly. I really like the look of the sword. Like the gun is cool, but Alpha Trion is sort of like the Obi-Wan, so I think he makes a lot more sense holding on to a sword. So yeah, this guy is very cool. Let's go ahead and get him into his lion mode so that we can take a look at the detail on that. Here's Alpha Trion in his lion mode. He looks very, very cool. In this mode, his canopy is up here. That flips right up like that. You take your little Sovereign here, flip his arms out, his legs up, and he does ride perfectly in there in his cockpit. Very, very neat. Very cool figure. I really like this. In terms of his sculpt, you can see there's some really, really nice, again, sort of that just flowing look that makes him look so regal, so unique. I really like the look of it. All of his designs, he's got those sharp edges, but they're complemented by these wonderful circles and little details everywhere that just make him look so much more interesting and involved. Very, very cool. In this mode, his sword becomes his tail. But yeah, very awesome. The face, like if you were looking at this figure and you didn't know any better, it would be very difficult to believe that that was his arms folded up. These are his shoulders and these are his forearms, and his hands combined to make his lower mouth. You can even see his fingers become the teeth. That is just genius. I love it. Now, we've talked before about how headmasters, or rather triple changers, often suffer in one mode or another, and of course he's going to suffer a little bit. He does lack articulation in this mode. His back legs are pretty decent. You know, he can move them up, down, and everything. He's got the full range that he would of his normal legs because these are his normal legs. In his feet, he's only got these hinge joints, which don't do him a whole lot of good, but you can raise him up a little bit on his hind legs. The real sufferer, aside from his head, which doesn't move at all, is his front arms, his front paws. They only swivel here and bend forward and back. So if they had like an extra hinge up here somehow, or like a ball joint, that would be perfect, fantastic, like Battle Cat level articulation, you know, minus a midsection joint. I would love to have more motion in the arms. But it's honestly not the worst thing in the world, just because he looks so cool in this mode, and that gets him some passes. Yeah, his legs are a little wonky looking and stuff, but they always look that way for these types of characters, anyone who turns into a large cat, so I can totally forgive it for that issue. In terms of his extra gun, any place that there's a hole, you can store it, so I'm just going to kind of put it right there on his hip, and it looks pretty good. If you had another one, it would look a little more balanced. It would look kind of like a Zoid almost, which would be pretty cool, but it is what it is. Yeah, this figure is very, very cool looking. So let's go ahead and get him into his Starship mode, and we'll compare that to this guy. And here he is in his Starship mode. And yeah, he's kind of Starshipy, I guess. He looks a lot like a battle cruiser. Sort of reminds me of, again, of Fortress Maximus with the long flat places. Like I could imagine very tiny Autobot jets flying off of the front of this. But I don't think he was ever supposed to be a really big character. In this mode, you do get to see a lot more of his robot parts sticking out. There's his hand there. On the bottom here, it's pretty much just Alpha Trion, just kind of slapped together. We do retain the cockpit in this mode, and we've still got Sovereign up in there. His gun plugs onto the front here. You don't have to do that. You could take the gun off. It just looks a little bland without it. So you could put the gun over here if you wanted. Well, it doesn't really stick very well in there, but yeah, it's not bad. I like to have the gun there just because I think it offers a little more visual interest. I really like the fin on the bottom here, which gets me to one point where I think it almost works better if they had flipped this whole thing over and tried to make this the ship mode instead. Like, I like the fin that sticks up. I like the way this tapers down, you know, more to a downward slope instead of the upward slope that this one has. I like that it looks really Cybertronian at the same time. And I would have tried to work this out better so that was more the look that we were going for. A little flatter, even in this side, you know, it would look even a little better. But I like this look a lot better. If this could lock in place better, this definitely looks more like a ship to me than this version, which is just kind of odd. It just sort of like falls off. It's not bad. It's really not. It's just I definitely would have gone the different route, made it a little broader on the backside, because that just, it almost looks more like a totem than a ship. But, you know, altogether, still a very nice piece. I think they could have gone a little differently, and I would almost be interested, because this is a triple changer, just to see what people will come up with as he starts to drop a lot more, see what fan modes start to show up. So here's Alpha Trion next to Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, is the Takara version, and then Hasbro's old Voyager Whirl. And he comes in right at 6 3/4 inches tall to the top of his head to Sovereign. That's not including the prongs, which are currently not out. So scale-wise, he matches up fairly well with the other Voyagers and everything. He's going to look great next to Prime whenever I finally get that figure out. I'm going for the Japanese Power Master Prime, the Jinrai, which will look pretty awesome. So for your $25, this was a $24.99 figure, you get a pretty cool triple changer, which he does have some problems with his modes, as triple changers tend to have, but honestly, I think both of them look pretty decent. As I said, the ship mode, you'll get some better fan modes as time goes on, but for just one, just lying down the lion parts so that it makes it a little flatter, more like wings, I think that looks a little better. And I really, really like the look of the lion. Even if it's not super articulated, I think it just displays really well. I think it's really pretty. It's a matter of really liking the colors that came with this guy. The mix of the dark gunmetal gray with the shiny silver, with the dark purple, with the magenta, like it all just works really well. And this red gem in the middle, which again activates his prongs. Very, very cool. I really like this. 25 bucks, a couple of accessories. You get the Headmaster gimmick to go along with your other Headmaster figures. What's not to love? I think this is a really cool update to a classic G1 character, and I think Hasbro did a great job with it. I don't normally do Transformers for reviews, so feel free to just rip me apart in the comments. I understand. I know that's a very specific type of review, and it may not be the kind that you're used to, but I just wanted to give it a shot. I like Transformers a lot, so I've always wanted to do them. I'm just not very good at them, so. That's it for this one. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be glad to help you out. Anything that I can say, anything I can help with, you know, please just let me know. I'd be glad to help you out. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.